Coach, obviously you have to move on, but I see the frustration and it's real. And I think an angry football team will head to the playoff.
Yeah, well, it's 24 days away, so when you think about, I think it's 24 days, but right around there. I think when you look at it that way, it's a long road, and we're fresh off of this loss, so you can't just move right on, so quickly because you got this time to kind of identify the things that didn't go well and what we got to do to get fixed, but. We'll quickly flush it out, identify what those things are, and then it'll be important how we practice because we've got to keep our edge throughout the month.
You are a very calculating coach, and I love everything you've done to make the routine and all that. That sometimes things like this are wake-up calls. Is that what you're going to use this as?
Whether it's a wake-up call or just when you go into a game that, a matchup game, they're a good team. The assumptions that you make about certain things throughout the season that aren't right get pushed to the forefront, and then the issues that are there really head to the surface, and so you combine all of those things. So it's our job as coaches to make sure we're putting our guys in a position to be successful based on what we have, and so we got to look at all those things, and it's coaches and players included because when you go through a loss, I mean it's everybody involved, and it really could have come down to one play in all three phases. That if we had done a better job, we could have put ourselves in a situation to win the game. But it shouldn't come down to one play. That's the bottom line. That's the whole idea of leave no doubt, which we'll make sure we're reiterating as we head into this next game.
You've talked all year about keeping the routine and everything, and you're not going to make any excuses. Just from a guy on the outside looking in, there were a lot of distractions, and you always try to block the noise, but there was a lot going on last week heading into that game.
Well, one of the things we got to do is we got to keep our focus, and that's everybody involved, coaches and players. And when the distractions start to get in the way, then they can take away from what you're doing. So, this time of year, there can be distractions, and we cannot let that happen. So, we've got to keep our focus, everybody involved with it, because the team that's most locked in gives ourselves the best chance to win. And so we need to be locked in, over the next, month.
You were in that game, had a shot to win it. We could talk about the negatives, the positives. Your defense just gave up 13 points to a team that scores a bunch of points. Defense was there.
No, defense played well. I mean, in my opinion, well enough to win, but at the end of the day, our goal is to win. And so I know that, they want to make a few more plays to win, but it's team football. And, the bottom line at the end of the day, we didn't score 2 touchdowns or 2 trips into the red zone, two drives down there. We come away with nothing at the end of the game, and you get a field goal. You're in overtime. You get 2 field goals. You probably win the game. You score 1 touchdown, you win the game. But that's football. You do or you don't, and we didn't get it done. And so we can take a look at all the different plays that went on down there and the singular plays, but it's the combination of everything that went on. So we got to take a hard look at it and figure out why that didn't happen. And there's a lot that goes into it, and we got to put our guys in a situation to be successful. And we have good enough players, so somewhere along the line we came up short, and that's what hurts when you come off of a game like this.
You're the first to say every season is its own. Everything's different. With that said, we saw the formula a year ago. You did it a year ago. You can do it again.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question. Our guys have confidence we can play with anybody and beat anybody in the country. That's not the issue. So what we got to do is, regroup and, have a great week. I mean, a great month where we're keeping our edge. I think that's what's really important when you look at the teams last year who had the bye. They kind of went into that game and, struggled a little bit. Now that was for a couple different reasons, but, we look at that as almost motivation to make sure that we're practicing at a high level to keep our edge, because we have to keep our edge. Because going into that game, whether it's A&M or Miami, they're going to be coming off of a game. They're into their routine, kind of like we were last year. So it's something that we have to be aware of and make sure we're addressing with the guys.
Last couple things. It will be another trip to Dallas, a place you've had a lot of success, Cotton Bowl, and you'll get the winner of Miami, A&M. Any thoughts or any preference?
No, I mean this time of year, you're going to be playing great teams, and I look at all 4 teams who have a bye. They all have monster roads to get to the playoffs. That's what you expect. So 3 games away from winning a national championship. That's just the truth. But it's going to start with this first game against whoever we play in the Cotton Bowl, and the more Buckeyes we can get in that game will be better. If it's Miami, it's great. If it's A&M, it could be another, kind of home game for them. So the more people we can get to buy tickets early on, we got about 24 days or whatever to get going and get ahead of the crowd out there in A&M. That would go a long way. We always travel well down there, and so again, the more people we have, the better we'll be. But it'll be a great environment and against a great opponent.
Yeah, I think Dallas has got a huge alumni base. Last thing, the way the bracket worked out, there could be a rematch with Indiana. You'd walk on that, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to get too far ahead of that. I mean, yeah, waking up this morning. I always say I wake up. I didn't even sleep last night. I'm so pissed off about the game, but that's part of it, and you got to give it about 24, 48 hours, take your medicine and move on. Not easy to do, but yeah, we got to take care of business and win the first game, and then we'll go from there.